Tens of millions of Americans will soon see relief from their student loan debt. Last hour, President Biden announcing a student loan forgiveness plan, canceling up to $10,000 of student loan debt for certain borrowers, double that for those who received a Pell Grant. Today, the president fulfilling that major campaign promise. So let's get right out to our chief White House correspondent, Willie James Inman, who is live at the White House. And Willie, break it down. Who gets what and how much?
Hey there, Dale. Well, as you mentioned it, this is a key campaign promise that President Biden sought to deliver on today with making this announcement. So first, let's spell this out for our viewers a little bit. The president tweeted the requirements for the student loan forgiveness that he is set to put in motion for millions of borrowers across this nation. So that student loan forgiveness would give $10,000 in forgiveness for those individuals who didn't receive Pell Grants, and they're making in less than $125,000 a year. But if you did receive a Pell Grant during your time in university, you could just receive some $20,000 in federal loan forgiveness. Remember, this is for those federally backed student loans. The president also announcing a continued pause on the federal loan student payments that people have been essentially not paying since the start of the pandemic. Remember, that started under former President Trump. But also, the president saying earlier today that this would affect millions of borrowers. The White House outlining that some 43 million people could potentially benefit from this. Some 20 million people, Dell, could have their debt wiped out completely. So that's welcome news to some people who were waiting for this. I've been on the trail, been talking to folks outside of Washington, D.C., and they've been telling me that this is something that they've been waiting for some type of student loan forgiveness. Although this didn't go as far as some of the left would have wanted it, it's still something the White House says that could help those people in terms of giving them some breathing room in their daily budget.
Willie, I'm old enough to remember the phrase, the check is in the mail, especially when it comes to the government. So when is it going to happen, and how soon will people see their student loan numbers drop?
Yeah, well, the important thing here to point out is that it's not like those checks that millions of Americans receive, those stimulus payment checks. It's not quite like that, although the Department of Education has income information for about 8 million or so people that they could automatically start this type of forgiveness. But for the most part, millions of individuals will have to look for that application process that'll go out via perhaps some of these student loan servicers. The Department of Education is working on implementing that plan, and they anticipate that an application process of sorts where people can go apply likely online for this type of forgiveness will happen before that student loan payment pause ends on December 31st. And that's, of course, when people who still have to pay those student loans, they have to start paying those student loans back on January 1st. So New Year's of next year is a happy New Year's present for some people. I'm being a little facetious here. But still, nonetheless, this is something that will take a bit of time to work out. But as I mentioned, there are some people that could potentially see this immediately, though, Dell.
Willie, you know the old saying in Washington, if neither side is happy, you must have done something right. Oddly enough, there's criticism coming from both Republicans and Democrats. So what are lawmakers there saying?
Yeah, there certainly is some criticism coming from people on the left. Let's start there. Senator Bernie Sanders, he sent out a tweet exactly kind of just not necessarily blasting this decision, but saying that it didn't go far enough. I want to bring that up for our viewers. He says, quote, if we can bail out Wall Street after their greed, recklessness, and illegal behavior drove us into the worst recession in modern history, then yes, we absolutely can cancel every single cent of student debt in this country. Remember, that's something that Senator Sanders, named candidate Sanders, campaigned on. The president all along didn't want to go as far as that, as far as forgiving all student loan debt or even $50,000 of student loan debt forgiveness. That's something that members of the Senate, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, wanted. On the Republican side of things, they're essentially saying that this will increase inflation and that it will wipe out deficit reduction. One of the key things that the White House has tried to stress justice, that they believe, according to experts, that this will not necessarily have an effect on inflation, that it will be a neutral effect on inflation or deflationary. So that's some of the pushback coming there from the White House. And one of the other things that they're saying as well, Del, we were just in the press briefing just moments ago, they're saying that small businesses received those pandemic relief loans that were essentially forgiven. They compared to this, to exactly that some of these Americans that have been struggling with these student loan payments, they're receiving some forgiveness, so to speak. And that's the way the White House is framing this. That's how they believe that they should look at this amid criticism coming from Republicans.